begin the 6th lecture on church history. Part 2, Medieval Church History. Medieval history is the 920-year period from the accession of Gregory I to the start of Martin Luther's Reformation. Chapter 1, the Transitional Period. 1. Introduction. Number 1. The center of history shifted during this period. In other words, it shifted from the east to the west. Let us take a look at the reasons for this. First, the Eastern Orthodox Church had been drained of its internal. Second, Islam was on the rise. Third, the Roman Catholic Church greatly expanded its power. The Latin people used their political qualifications to build the Roman Catholic Church. Heroes became popes to get a hold of authority and government. Furthermore, church law was established, and this strengthened the papacy. Charlemagne the Great and Otto the Great became heroes, and they cooperated with the church. As a result, where there is power, there is corruption. The people fell into ignorance and superstition. Was there political unity? But they also found themselves in the same ideological system. Number 2, religious life during the Middle Ages. The beautiful national character of the Germanic people was demonstrated in the church. Also, the people saw a spirit of upright living form within them. The period produced many saints and great names. Furthermore, architecture, sculpting, and painting flourished and developed. Number 3, the period saw religious revival. Monasteries, not the Roman Catholic Church, were the centers of revival. A large portion of the Roman Catholic Church's modern theology and systems come from the Middle Ages. Number 4, we can divide this age into 4 periods. First, the transitional period. The transitional period is the period of transitioning from ancient history to medieval history. The time frame is from Gregory I to the accession of Charlemagne. We call this period the transitional period. Second, the age of the growth of the Roman Catholic Church. The years are from 800 to 1073. It is the time Charlemagne the Great to the accession of Gregory VII. Third, the age of the height of the Roman Catholic Church. The period is from 1073 to 1303. It is from Gregory VII to the accession of Bonifacius VIII. Fourth, the age of the decline of the Roman Catholic Church. It is from 1303 to 1517. It is from the time of Bonifacius VIII to the beginning of the Reformation by Martin Luther. Number 2, Gregory the Great. Number 1, his life. Gregory the Great, or Greg the First, was born in 540 to a wealthy family of Rome. He was raised in a family where his mother and 2 aunts were called saints. After his father died, Gregory donated his possessions to monasteries, and he himself became a monk. Gregory was sent by the Pope to Constantinople as an emissary, and he also worked as the Pope's secretary. The Church and the Senate wanted him to be Pope. However, he declined, disguised himself, and ran away. But he was caught, and in September of 590, he became Pope. Number 2, his achievements. Gregory the Great hired monks to take on important church positions. He prohibited the sale of church positions. He did not allow church officers to marry after they took on their possession. He also strengthened the papacy. To evangelize Britain, Gregory sent Augustine the missionary. This Augustine isn't Augustine of Hippo. Gregory strongly supported the idea of purgatory. He advocated worshipping the Virgin Mary and worshipping saints. Number 3, his failures. Failed because of his attitude towards someone named Focus. Focus was a man who called himself the Emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire. Doing this, he formed some enemies. Focus killed in front of their parents the sons of 6 people who were against him. However, Gregory I gave this man a congratulatory message. Number 3, the rise of Islam. We study the rise of Islam for the following reasons. Because of the rise of Islam, the center of the church shifted from the east to the west. With the expansion of Islam, lost hold of Turkey, Constantinople to Islam. Number 1, characteristics of Arabia. Arabia is a desert region. Many tribes were living there, and the small tribes were at war with each other. People did serve Allah before Islam became the predominant religion, but in the region, people worshipped many gods. Mecca was the religious center. As the center of the Islamic religion, Mecca was home to 360 idols. Number 2, Muhammad. Muhammad is the original pronunciation. Muhammad was born in Mecca, Arabia in 570. As an orphan, he was very poor. When he was 25 years old, he married a rich widow. Muhammad was a businessman. While conducting business, he traveled to foreign places and came into contact with Judaism and Christianity. At the age of 40, saying that he received a revelation from Allah, he created a monotheistic religion. For this reason, people kicked him out of Mecca. He fled from Mecca to Medina. Muhammad rallied the tribes in the region and occupied Mecca. After capturing Mecca, he removed idols and made Mecca the center of the rising religion. He died at the age of 63 in the year 632. Number 3, Islam. A. The origins of Islam. Muhammad founded Islam. Initially, Arabians living in Arabia were interested in religious reformation. However, as time passed, they developed the purpose of conquering the world. They used the sword to evangelize. They asked people if they would believe in Allah or die by the sword. Following Islam shows a tendency to exclude other religions. B. Islamic doctrine. As a monotheistic religion, Islam denounced all idols. They said the name of the true God is Allah. They believed that Allah sent angels, Moses, and Jesus to save humanity. However, because the angels, Moses, and Jesus failed, Allah sent Muhammad. Islam says that Muhammad is greater than angels, Moses, or Jesus. Muslims say that they must work for their faith for them to go to heaven. They serve Allah, but they must make an effort for their God and faith in order to enter heaven. The word Islam means submission. Much of Islamic doctrine is about the rewards they receive from their God. They believe that if they commit acts of terror, Allah rewards them. See Islam's morals. Muslims pray and aid others. They make pilgrimages to Mecca. They do not drink alcohol or eat pork. They practice polygamy and they permit slavery. D. The sacred book of Islam, the Quran. The sacred book of Islam, the Quran, is a collection of 100 of Muhammad's sayings and doings. They say that as the greatest prophet, Muhammad has authority in religion, politics, and all other things. The Quran was compiled 20 years after Muhammad's death by Muhammad's disciple Abu Bakr and Zayd the scribe. E. How Islam is propagated. The Khalifa organized an army, armed the army with weapons, and expanded the territory. They convinced the people they conquered to fight with them and to lead the attacks. Islam's territory grew in the political and religious sense. It even reached India. Islam spread to West Asia and Central Asia. Later, North Africa and the Spanish Peninsula came under Islam's territory. It even captured Constantinople later on. Constantinople was renamed Istanbul. Islam went on to threaten Rome as well. Number 4. The split in Islam. A. The cause of the split. Doctrinal disputes were the cause of the split. Internal struggles for power contributed as well. B. Power struggles among successor. The first successor was Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr was the leader of Islam from Muhammad's death in 632 to the year 634. The second successor was Omar, who was leader from 634 to 644. The third successor was Othman, who ruled from 644 to 655 and took control of the region of North Africa. The fifth successor was Muhammad's nephew Ali. However, Ali was killed 6 years later. The sixth successor, Muawiyah I, killed Ali and founded the Umayyad Caliphate, which kept its power 100 years. C. Islamic factions. First are the Sunnis. The Sunnis came to be during the third generation of the Ottoman age. These people acknowledged legends in addition to the Quran. They called themselves the Orthodox group. Second, we have the Shiites. The Shiites were formed by people who were against the Sunnis. This sect was formed by the fifth successor, Ali. Third is Sufism. Sufism is a mystical sect that produced many saints. Number 4, the Romans, West Europe. 1. Evangelizing France. Number 1, evangelists. The first evangelist is Irenaeus. Irenaeus was the first to evangelize France. Second is Martin. Martin was a soldier. Because he was a soldier, he forced his men in a militaristic way to join the church. He tore down houses for idols all over the country, removed idols, and evangelized. Number 2, kings who contributed to evangelism. Not only were there evangelists, but there were also figures who had the gospel accepted national level. First is Clovis. He was a king who came to believe in Jesus and promoted Christianity. Our second figure is Charles Martel. Charles Martel was king of France from 715 to 740. His passion for spreading Christianity was so great that he sent missionaries to Germany and the Netherlands. Martel's eldest son became a monk. Furthermore, the king of France at the time convened councils through Bonifacius. The Frank Church Council of 742 was a large council. They came up with several decisions there. They gave instructions to keep the rules and precepts. They strictly prohibited church officers from doing immoral deeds. They also prohibited priests from getting married. The council encouraged a life of abstinence. The Council of Bishops was convened in 747, and here the council recognized the Pope's judicial power. Number 2, evangelizing Germany. Columbanus evangelized Germany early on. Number 1, Willibrord. Willibrord was born in 657 and died in 739. He was British and he was trained Irish. He did mission work in the Netherlands and in Denmark. Number 2, Bonifacius. Coming from British nobility, he was highly educated. Bonifacius was Willibrord's student. He helped Willibrord in doing missions work. In 716, Bonifacius stopped by Frisia and then evangelized Germany. There was a special incident during this time. Bonifacius saw people who had come to Christianity return to their God of thunder. In the presence of thousands of people, he proceeded to cut down an oak tree in which the people believed their God of thunder dwelled. Nothing happened to Bonifacius after this incident. Many people accepted the faith and returned to Christianity. Bonifacius baptized over 10,000 people over a period of 20 years. In 744, he established a Benedictine monastery in Fulda. Bonifacius was martyred at the age of 75. Number 3. Evangelizing Britain. A. Missionaries. 1. At around the year 50, soldiers of the Roman Empire entered England, and the soldiers who became believers built churches. Afterwards, there wasn't much evangelism in Britain. 2. At around the year 400, Pelagius evangelized. Pelagius was Augustine's enemy doctrine-wise. Number 3. The next person is Patrick. He was the first British missionary. Let us take a brief look at Patrick's life. He was born to a Scottish family of faith. He was taken prisoner to North Ireland when he was young, and for 6 years he worked as the chief's shepherd. He escaped the place and entered a monastery. After his monastic life, Patrick returned home. In 431, he saw a vision of the Irish people pleading help. After he was ordained, Patrick went to Ireland and evangelized for 30 years. He not only gained the trust of regular citizens, but he also won the trust of noblemen. He also built monasteries in every region. Number 4. Our next story is about Augustine and his 40 men. This Augustine is not Augustine the theologian. In 596, Augustine was sent as a missionary to Britain. Gregory the Great was the one who sent him. Ethelbert, King of Kent, welcomed Augustine and built him a house in Canterbury. King accepted Christianity, and he had 10,000 citizens baptized. At around the year 601, Augustine became Archbishop of Britain and continued his missionary efforts. B. People who contributed to Britain missions. Number 1. Finian of Conlard. He greatly improved the monastic system. Number 2. Columba. Columba came from royalty. He built several churches and 2 monasteries in Ireland. In 563, he and 12 partners founded an abbey on the Scottish island of Iona. Number 3. Aidan was a monk of Iona. He established the new Iona monastery. Number 4. Columbanus. Columbanus first did mission work in Britain. He was the abbot of Britain's Bangor Abbey. In 595, he and 12 partners did mission work in Germany. He founded a monastery in Burgundy. At around the year 610, he established monasteries in several places in northern Switzerland. In 614, Columbanus founded a monastery in Bobbio, Italy. Number 5. The Princess of Kent. The Princess of Kent married Edwin, King of Northumbria. Paulinus, one of Augustine's 40 men, evangelized the princess. Edwin, the king of Northumbria, gathered the powerful people of the nation and discussed whether or not they would adopt Christianity. They voted to receive Christianity. Number 6. Bede. Bede was a monk and a lawyer. He wrote the ecclesiastical history of the English people. Number 7. Caedmon. Caedmon was a poet who contributed greatly to missions. See problems and disputes. A problem occurred in Northumbria. Civil war had erupted between the north and the south. King died in battle because of this. Paulinus returned to his hometown. In this way, the north and south were at war with one another. However, British representatives and Roman Catholic representatives held a synod at Whitby. They agreed on the following things. The Anglo-Saxon king was to be under the jurisdiction of Roman Catholicism. They would follow the system and worship ceremonies of Roman Catholic law. They decided to remember Easter on Sunday. This concludes the 6th lecture on church history.